So, I've been getting some pretty amazing downloads from my spirit team that I would like to share with you. And today, in this episode in particular, I want to talk about the concept of our higher self, our spirit, projecting itself into the current reality that you are living in. And so, if you are interested in hearing about that, I encourage you to stay tuned. I'm also going to be creating a YouTube video that I would encourage you to go over and watch because I will have a visual demonstration of what I'm sharing in this episode on there as well, if that's not where you're watching this. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Soul Alignment Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Angie, and I'm inviting you to explore the depths of self-sabotage, limiting mindsets, and the beliefs that hinder our progress in life. Through intuitive messages I receive from my spirit team, I share profound insights to help you live authentically and break free from these limitations. Join me now as we uncover all the keys to living your best life. Welcome back. My name is Angie, and I'm your Soul Alignment Mentor, bringing you intuitive messages and insights I get from my spirit team to help you align with your most authentic and highest self. So, if you've been around the spiritual community for a while, you may have heard about the concept of our spirit living in different dimensions and realities at the same time. And I want to give you a little bit of insight about something that I received last night during a meditation from my spirit team about the projection of our spirit, of our higher self, and how that is connected in with our reality that we live in the current moment. So if you are listening on the podcast and you're not able to see physically the graphic that I was able to create to show what my higher self, what my spirit team showed me about our projection of our spirit, then I do want to encourage you to go over and watch that if you are able to. If not, then just imagine with me, because that's how it came to me. So if you can imagine that you are pure light, that your energy is just pure energy of light, which comes from source energy, God. So God, what we would call God as a human, created all things out of itself. So what we would say in the beginning, there was God. And then God created through his word, through its word. So God thought and it became. So God basically had this idea of, I want to co-create with myself. So I'm going to create more of me in these different perceptions and projections and frequencies and dimensions so that I can experience and co-create with myself. Basically, God was like, I want to make more of me. So therefore, I'm going to make things that come from me, almost like our mother birthing us. We are our mom's flesh. We come from the same bloodline. We come from the same DNA. So our mom and dad, like we were created out of that energy of that is passed down through our human body. And so on throughout our whole ancestral line. If that's why there can be a DNA test or a blood test or even a saliva test or things like that can trace your lineage back thousands of years into what the family line is that you came from. So if we traced our higher self, our spirit self, all the way back to its original form, we are source God. We are source energy created in this frequency. Basically, the only way to really comprehend it is like a note, like a musical note that was created out of this being of light, that we hold our own frequency of sound, light, energy. And so we were created out of this source energy, God. So as you imagine this being that you are created, maybe this is a orb, maybe it's a star, maybe whatever it is that you can see. I want you to imagine if you are older than, I would say maybe 35 or maybe even 30, back in the older days of elementary school and high school, when people would go through school, teachers would have things called projectors. And so they'd have this like piece of like laminate, like clear paper like thing they would write on, or they would have something on, and they would put it on this machine that had a light on it, and the light would project off of the mirror basically onto this light, and the light would project onto the wall. And so it was reflecting the image of what was on this space onto the wall so that students could see and learn. And then over time, things changed into like computers and things like that. So the projection came from more like electronic things. But in the beginning, in the late, I'm not sure when these started to be used in these settings, but I know for sure in the 80s and 90s, they were still using them. Even into the early 2000s, I can still remember having projectors in high school. But if you can imagine this projector of light, of your light being, and there's this projection of you and your spirit, your energy being sent out into different places. So what I want you to imagine is that, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see this. I'm going to be having something pop up to help explain this. There are light beings that shoot out from this spirit of ourselves into these different dimensions, different timelines, different scenarios, different realities, different concepts, different beliefs, different experiences, like all these different things that our higher self is projecting itself into. And because we are in a current reality, our projection of ourself, of the spirit being, is projected currently into your reality that you are in this very moment. The one you're thinking in, the one you're experiencing, the one that you know yourself as, the world that you know yourself to be in. This is the dimension and reality in which your spirit is focused on in this moment, because in this moment it is using this experience to expand and grow in itself, which goes back to the original form. If we take that energy light of who we are back to our higher self, that higher self then has this trajectory all the way back to the lineage of the original being of source God energy. And so in this current reality, we are experiencing ourselves as this human. So using myself as an example, my higher self saw this projection of this woman named Angie, or this little girl named Angie, or this baby named Angie, or Angela is my correct original name. And it thought, I'm going to go and be this human and experience this human life and this perception. And this human is going to experience these things, and be through those experiences, I am going to grow and learn in my comprehension of who I am, and be able to use that experience to create more of my energy. It's almost like being able to enhance the frequency of self. So when I come to be a human and I live in this current perception and reality, and I'm projecting into this as my human self, I know from my higher self's perspective that this reality is part of me creating more of myself and expanding my consciousness and my awareness of who I am as source energy God. If we go back through lifetimes, which if we're able to wrap our mind around this, these other lifetimes that we might say is our past lives or future lives, in our original form, in that spirit form, in that orb or energy that you can imagine as like this center with all these like beings of self around the center, they're all happening at the same time. Because in that realm, in that dimension, there is not a thing called time. There is not a such thing as like a confined reality, which we are in our dimension. In this earthly dimension, we're in this very dense energy system, a dense field of energy. So therefore we think in blocks, we think in struggle, we think in the only way that I like to that I have in my mind and my human knowledge to explain this is like walking through mud. Like this earth creates this field of resistance for us to use to help raise our vibration. But if we were able to see our past lives, that this is where it gets really crazy, that are actually still currently happening. But since we're in this reality, they are our past lives based on the reality that we are currently living in and projecting at this time. Knowing that reality of our past life, we may not have come into this higher consciousness thinking of knowing that we are source energy God, of knowing that we have this higher connection with our spirit, with our higher self, with a spirit team, with higher dimensions, with angels, with ancestors, with loved ones that have passed, with source energy God. Like we wouldn't have had that comprehension maybe in a past lifetime that we have in this current lifetime. And so as the frequency of the earth is vibrating and rising in this reality, it is creating a new ability to comprehend these things on a higher frequency. And so our spirit has been projecting itself out into these different realms and different dimensions and experiences, and growing and learning from these experiences. And this all connects back to our ancestral spirit line of our soul family, of our angels, our ancestors, our the other beings that we are one with, which all is one when we come back to the source energy God. And so when we have these experiences, God's frequency is created even more so, like that expands, which creates more of the universe that we are not able to comprehend on this dimension, because it is such a restricted, heavy dimension that we live in, that we are blocked from being able to understand this. Now, I did get some downloads about that block that we have as humans on the earth, that I'm going to do a completely other episode on that, because it is even as deep as this one. But that one, I do encourage you to follow up this episode with that, because it will possibly bring a little bit more comprehension and understanding for you on trying to wrap your mind around this concept of us projecting ourselves into all these dimensions at once as our higher self and spirit. And so the reason I want to share this is because sometimes we get really stuck in the reality that we have created, and we struggle with seeing anything outside of it. But when we come back to the concept and we reconnect with our higher self, our spirit self, we're not necessarily doing that with the purpose of connecting with these other realities that are being projected at the same time as us, or to understand it. But there can be times when we can do a past life regression, or we can do a hypno session where we can go to see another of these projections of ourselves. And it could be in that projection, we could be a human, we could be a Lemurian or a Pleiadian, or all these other beings that we could be experiencing at these other dimensions and times and projections of our higher self. And our soul is a part of our higher self that has come into this realm to live in this dimension at this time. And so when we leave this earth, when we leave this place that we are in now, this human body that we are in this current moment, our soul will go back into that original form, and it will choose another projection for itself. But like I was saying, sometimes these past lives, these other experiences can help give us some understanding of why we might struggle with something in this current reality. And I've heard a lot of people say that they have done a past life regression, or they've gone back and they've discovered reasons they struggle with something, or reasons they have a sickness, or reasons they have a fear or a phobia. And it kind of is a projection that had happened in this other lifetime, basically, that you had experienced. That energy, that karmic energy, is also connected with your soul, your higher self, and is projecting into this reality as well. And so you could still be working through that karma to clear it out. And once you're able to, and it doesn't mean we all have to go do past life regressions to see why we have certain things. Sometimes our spirit just is projecting this into our reality because it knows it's going to learn from it. It's going to experience something that it is useful from that, from what we are going through in this lifetime. But the thing is that if there is something that maybe is being projected karmically or energetically from a past life or another experience, then we, or a dimension or whatever it may be, or timeline, having that knowledge can help us release that and let it go. But what is really kind of interesting that my spirit team has been telling me and sharing with me for quite a while in the last few years, as I have been hearing more and more messages about the Earth's frequency rising and us moving into a different energy of like 5D, of what we would call that as a human, is that as the humans are going through this process of having this experience, we are also helping to release karmic energies from that line and that lineage that we come from. So as we heal, we're helping the karmic energy released for the spirits that have even passed, the ones that have been connected to us in some kind of a way. So the reason that I know this is because this is something my dad shared with me, that as I was able to heal, as I was able to raise my frequency, forgive my dad, go through my own process of releasing some of those programs, beliefs I developed because of the relationship I had with him as a human, while he was still a human. He had passed in 2020 from cancer. He explained to me that when I am able to release that, heal that, go through that process in this dimension, I can help him raise his frequency as a spirit so that he can step into a different role in some sense as a that whatever frequency that he is moving into it through the release of that karmic energy. Like I said, this is all really deep and interesting, and I hope I'm explaining this correctly, but this came to me in a meditation last night, and these are concepts and things that I've heard talked about and I've heard people explaining, but I never had a visual the way that I had last night about what was really happening with our higher self. So, like I said, I do encourage you to watch the video because I will have like that visual on there. And then stay tuned for the other ones that I'm going to be listing here or posting, because I'm going to talk about the energy of dimensions that my spirit team showed me. And I'm going to talk about the roles of our guides, and the particularly two of our guides that most every human has, and the pillars of our lives, and how the pillars of our lives are the projection that we're going through in this lifetime. And so I do encourage you to stay tuned to both of those episodes. If you are on a journey of wanting to connect with higher consciousness, you're wanting to clear out some of this karma, you're wanting to experience yourself as your highest self, and you're having a hard time, I am offering a 7-week course where I'm starting February 1st. And this normally is something I offer as a one-on-one course, but as we moved into the new year, I just felt this need to offer as a group course so that a collective of us could get together and work on this together. And normally the price is $1,444. And I took $1,000 off, you guys. So now it's only $444. And I want to encourage you to come over to my website, angieharris.org. Go to the resources link and scroll down to Raise Your Vibration course. You will find on there the group course. Use the code NEWYEAR24 when you check out, and it will take that $1,000 off. There's also an option of afterpay or payment plans with that remainder amount that is still for the course. But during that 7 weeks, you will have access to all the modules on my website that go through your energetic system. It has journal prompts, it has meditations, it has teachings, and then you will also be able to meet with me over Zoom as a group with everybody to talk about raising our vibration, clearing our energy, understanding our chakra system, and that projection that we put out into this reality. So if you want to join me, I encourage you to come over to my website and join that, angieharris.org. I will also put the link below if you would like to scroll down and find that as well. Also, if you're just wanting to do an individual reading, come on over and schedule a session with me, and we can do some looking into your energy, or maybe connect with a loved one on another side, whatever comes through for you. So I wish you all the best day, night, evening, whatever time it is for you. I send you all the universal love. Namaste.